Yes.
We are ready.
I ask that you stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you and welcome. I would like to open up a public hearing regarding the adoption of the Brownfield Plan number 330 East Main Street, Walkerville. And I'd like to open a public hearing for that at this time. Mr. Burnett, are you gonna
Sure.
provide the information?
Yeah, absolutely. I
on the
can start
public
us
hearing?
off, and then I have Curtis Burdett from the Oceana County Economic Alliance. So I also am the vice chair on the Oceana County Brownfield Redevelopment Authority. And so this is the first Act 381 Brownfield plan that we've presented to the board. I was in front of you a couple months ago and mentioned we had at that time 14 work plans across 11 projects and 6 or 7 different communities in Oceana. This is one of them in Walkerville, where we were looking at some of the contamination. Obviously, a gas station, you've got existing contamination there. And so they were also looking at one of their pumps had been damaged, wanted to look at, hey, can we redo the convenience store because it's really just past its usable age to really do the things that they want to do. So they decided that's the direction they wanted to go. Our contractor from the Brownfield Authority is Fishback, so they worked with them to look at what options could help that. And so the one that was the best option was this Brownfield plan. What that does is that tax increment of that higher rate, some of those funds will be able to be recaptured back to the Brownfield Authority and then reimbursed to the developer to cover some of that development cost. And some of those estimates are in the plan there to highlight what that looks like. Just promoting that development, the amount of tax that is collected locally will continue at that same amount. So that doesn't change, but over the course of that plan, those funds will be held at the authority, and then some of those funds can stay at the authority to cover the admin costs of processing that with the state, and the majority go to reimburse the developer. Funds beyond that, we have the potential to do a revolving loan plan, which would allow future projects that would be passed into the next generation, towards probably 20 years out of that plan. Those funds could stay in a revolving loan fund that could go to fund other redevelopment projects on potentially contaminated sites.
Mr. Burdett, for those of us that are not familiar with the address at 330 East Main, is that the northeast corner of the Four Corners in Walkerville?
Correct.
Is that where it is?
Mm-hmm.
Does that help anybody with what piece of property we're talking about there? So,
Quick Mart gas station.
and thank you for that. And I will ask if there are any other public comments for the public hearing. Once again, any other public comments for the public hearing for this location? And a third time, I will ask if there's any other public comments for the public hearing on this location. Hearing none. Are there any comments from the board members?
I'd like to say it's wonderful. Thank you. And for those of you that are not familiar, the couple that own the Quick Mart in Walkerville also operate the 1031 gas station in Scottville. And they have, they've set their sights pretty high to build a beautiful store in Walkerville on the corner. And if you haven't been to Walkerville in a while, there's a Dollar General on the northwest, and on the southeast, there's a Family Dollar. And we'll throw a new gas station in this mix, and that'll be a busy corner, but it services so many people out in Colfax, School Section Lake, Ruby Creek, there is a gas station for, 20 miles from Walkerville, and it's a busy place on the lunch hours, diesel fuel, farm boys are there all the time, tractors are parked at the pumps. But it's a good thing for Walkerville.
Thank you, Mr. Erickson. Are there any other comments from the commissioners? Hearing no other public comments or comments from the commissioners, I'd like to close the public hearing at this time, and we'll take action on this in just a minute. But I would like to open our regular meeting and ask the clerk to do a roll call vote for our regular meeting, please.
Mr. Beggs?
Here.
Mr. McCormick?
Here.
Mr. Hardy?
Here.
Mr. Erickson?
Here.
Mr. Walker?
Here. Thank you. I'd ask for approval from the minutes from the June 26, 2025 meeting, please. A motion to approve.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Mr. Hardy. Do we have a support?
Support.
Thank you, Mr. McCormick. Any discussion or comments on the minutes as presented? Hearing none, all in favor of approval of the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion is passed. Conflict of interest disclosure regarding agenda items. Are there any conflict of interest from the board members? Hearing none. Changes to the agenda. Do we have any changes to the agenda, board members? Hearing none. Approval of the agenda as presented. Can I have a motion for that, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Erickson. Do we have a support?
I'll support.
Thank you, Mr. Beggs. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. An opportunity for public comment on the regular board meeting. Are there any public comments at this time? Hearing none. Mr. Beggs, would you please do the motion on the brownfield redevelopment in Walkerville?
Yep, I'd like to make motion 2025-77 to adopt resolution 2502, approving a brownfield plan for 330 East Main Street, Walkerville, Michigan, determining that the plan constitutes a public purpose under the act and it meets all the requirements for a brownfield plan set forth in section 13 of the act, and allow the board chair and county clerk to sign.
Thank you, Mr. Beggs. Do we have a support?
I'll support Hardy.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hardy. Moved and supported. Any discussion?
This number, because we
Pardon
used
me?
77 last meeting.
Okay, we have two different things.
Our
Just,
payment
it's
of
just
claims.
a numbering thing.
Payment of
We
claims was
have
77.
the number on the
Last time.
motion and Mr. Beggs, that's 25-02, and this one says 25-78.
The payment of claims on our last meeting minutes was 77.
Yes, so,
We added one, we added a 74, and then payment of claims was 77 on the last minutes.
hold on a second, my apologies.
Melanie, thank you for bringing that up. It should be just a minute, we want to get the correct number on this.
Is that what's in the minutes from the last time, from
It is
what
in,
78 was on there? Sorry,
From the June 26th board meeting.
77 is on the payment of claims right here.
yes, that should be 78. My apologies.
Mr. Beggs,
Amend by to 2025-78.
Mr. Hardy?
Yeah, second.
So it's been amended to show that the resolution is 2025-78. I thank the clerk for that.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Beggs?
Yes.
Mr. Hardy?
Yes.
Mr. McCormick?
Yeah.
Mr. Erickson?
Yes.
Mr. Walker?
Yes. Thank you. Mr. Erickson, Health Department Appointment Alternate.
Mr. Walker, I make motion 2025-79 to appoint Commissioner Joel McCormick as an alternate to the District 10 Health Department Committee to expire on December 30th, 2028.
Do we have a support?
I'll support Hardy.
Any discussion?
Very good.
Mr. McCormick?
Thank you for the confidence. I'd be glad to do it.
Thank you. You'll enjoy it. So, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Mr. McCormick, transfer station fee schedule.
Motion 2025-80 to adopt the revised transfer station fee schedule to conform with changes to managed material costs with all rates to take effect on, we didn't put a date
Pardon me?
in
We
there.
didn't select a date.
We don't have a date, I guess that's for discussion. The start date.
Pardon me, Mr. Beggs?
August first.
Or do we need to push it out farther than that, or?
I don't, this is just the this is not for the ones, the second one, it's for the, first couple things we talked about.
Right.
Well, we
This is-
made those, the mattresses were effective immediately.
So the mattresses were started July 8th.
Yeah.
That's already taken effect.
Yeah.
That's done, but there's an entire proposed list that was
We're
in
talking about that long list
all of
of,
it,
The
the
one-
entire list.
The one we got from,
yeah,
the one we
Yes.
got from Jake?
Yes.
yeah.
Well, let's get a support for that, adopting that. A support for the motion, then we'll have a discussion.
So the
So,
motion is without a start date, the start date will be in the discussion.
so if you wanna put August 1st in there for right now, and then you can
Okay,
go back
we
and
could
change
make a
that.
motion for August 1st.
That sounds good.
Motion 2025-80 to adopt the revised transfer station fee schedule to conform with changes to managed material costs with all rates to take effect on August 1st.
Thank you. Discussion. I had one thing that I have a concern about with this going
I'll
on.
support.
You should support, thank you, Mr. Beggs. I was looking through here. This is just I'm wondering, do we really wanna do this? It says, all contractors for inbound waste recycling, post customers shall incur a gate fee of $4 per vehicle and a $5 environmental fee. Do we wanna charge people $9 just for driving through the gate if they bring one bag garbage?
Seems expensive.
Pardon me?
It seems to be expensive.
I'm not so sure that I'm in favor of a gate fee. I think we set our fees for the disposal to make up what the gate fee is, and we not actually get into that at this time.
I agree.
Well, and you run into, what's our definition of a commercial? You run into definition issues when you start having different classes of people. Yeah, it's a load of shingles, but they just did their own roof, not a customer's roof or.
I think that's a very valid point, Mr. Beggs. I just have a concern if grandma and grandpa pull up to the gate with 2 bags of garbage and they're gonna get charged $5 a bag for them, then $9 for the gate fee to come in to dispose of them. I would like to see us adopt everything right now except the gate fee and have a further discussion about the gate fee, and if we need to adopt that at a later time, adopt that at a later time.
What about the environmental?
I think we ought to stay out of both of them.
Yeah.
That's what,
I mean, what's the environmental fee for if we're not accepting oils and coolants and?
Right. And it's already loaded into the price of each. Yeah.
I guess another item I'd like to discuss is the 3% processing fee for a credit card. We're at peak time. We need people moving through here quickly and processing payments, so doing math and adding 3%. And I've just, personally, I am not a big fan of processing fees. Just roll that in to increase everybody's costs to cover your 3% that are gonna be dealt with in credit card.
At $85 a ton, You saw what they charged per ton at the transfer station I was at. It was $200 a ton, and they're right at the landfill. But at $85 a ton, I think that if we find out that those transfer fees, that those credit card fees are not covering and they get burdensome, we increase the fees on the tonnage instead of charging them. We increase the fees on the tonnage. We roll them all together, and if we have to do that. But the other thing is, if we find that diesel fuel takes skyrocket, we're gonna have to adjust those fees anyway. These fees are not gonna be permanent.
I mean, it's $2.55 per ton would be a 3% charge. And it just gets cumbersome, you know. We got one guy running the whole thing, trying to take payments and weigh cars and deal with all the things. Let's not add a quick calculator fee to.
Mr. Biggs, I absolutely agree with you. If we have to increase it to cover that, we put it into the service we're providing.
Just to be clear, and I don't disagree with you at all. I just wanted you to know that when you swipe your credit card is when that. So like if there's a $3.50 charge for using your credit card,
Yep.
it's tacked on at the time that you swipe your card.
It just-
So it has nothing to do with that, but
Yeah.
yes.
It's still an irritation.
Right.
So the other question I have though is right now you have a gate fee. So are you wiping out the gate fee completely?
Yes.
I don't think we've been collecting that gate fee.
They're collecting $3 per visit.
We already do it now.
I think
Oh, we do not.
Yes, $3 we're collecting right now.
I would rather just adjust the fees for the cost of disposal for both the gate fee, the environmental fee, and for the credit card fee if we have to do it. You know, I guess I don't
And
want.
just increase all of our other.
If we have to
Right.
increase it to cover it, I don't want to have our people that work at the transfer station, or if we go with American Classic, to sit there and get in a discussion with somebody who wants to be very argumentative, because we're charging the gate fee and we're charging and the first thing that's gonna come out of their mind is, why are you charging me both of these? Let's build it in.
If we have to up the rates to cover some of it.
Tim, you've been in business for a long time. My thoughts are build it into something.
I don't play that game. You know, I have a very select, I have a few products where there isn't a lot of margin, where I do add a credit card fee, but it's big. I mean, it's tens of thousands of dollar products. So, normal business, I don't add in a credit card fee. I don't have a cash price and a credit card price. I just, personally, I don't like that game. So.
Joel, you're in business too. What's your thoughts?
Credit card fee next to labor is our highest expense, but we build it in. I mean, we just don't.
Paul?
Back and forth.
Well, and in today's world, they're not credit cards, they're debit cards. And, you know, you're gonna swipe the debit card, which is cash. So, yeah, I don't feel we should have a one number in the gate fee. And, you know, there's county residents coming to keep our county clean and make it as painless as possible, because it will be American Classic that'll be standing at the gate asking for the fee. But what I've done with my banks is negotiated those fees down for me, because I take the card and don't add a surcharge from people that do run cards, you know, and at the end of the month, there goes $400 for using cards.
Well, I guess my opinion is if we find out later on we need to top load some of the other charges without the credit card fee being added, I don't like that either. You go someplace and it's like, well, it's $10 if you pay, but it's $12 if you pay with a credit card. It's like, really?
And worse than that, if you don't discuss it with them and they get home and they find out that they were charged a credit card fee, then you really got a hornet's nest.
No, I'm in favor of just eliminating it.
But do we negotiate those fees with our bank?
I don't know, I would have to ask.
You just call them up and tell them we're not paying anymore, or we're gonna change banks.
Mary Lou is negotiating
yeah,
everything
sure.
else with the banks.
Your-
That's what,
Well, your treasurer.
Yes, go ahead.
Mary Lou does negotiate that because all of the offices here, we have that 3% built in. So if they use a credit card in our offices, at Circuit, at the Sheriff's Department, at her office, our office, that 3% is being charged.
is it
So,
Wellington?
It's, she uses a company called Graphite.
But we have the option at the transfer station to increase prices to cover that.
Certainly.
And you don't when you're taxing or, you know,
Yeah,
have we talked about it enough that we can,
Yep.
that we strike the gate fees and we strike the credit card percentage fee? Do we have an agreement with the board members on that?
Yeah.
So the other thing would be the start date. So I threw out August 1st, just as a clean date. That ends up being a Friday. Is it easier just to go with a whole week and maybe bump it to August 4th? That's a Monday. Just not to throw a wrench in the works in the middle of the week.
Yep.
Just a thought.
Yep. So, you've got August 4th, for it makes all the sense in the world. Mr. McCormick, is it agreeable to those three things in your motion?
Yeah, I think that's good work.
And the motion was supported by,
I would agree.
pardon, Mr. Beggs, you
Yep.
supported it.
Yeah, I'll
And you
support
would
the
agree?
amendment.
Any other discussion, or should I call for the vote? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. McCormick?
Yeah.
Mr. Beggs?
Yes.
Mr. Hardy?
Yes.
Mr. Erickson?
Yes.
Mr. Walker?
Yes, and thank you, board members. Transfer station sale of backhoe, Mr. McCormick.
Like we talked earlier in our last meeting, this is the hole that we have out at the transfer station that needs repairs. So this is motion 2025-81 to enter into agreement with CAT for the sale of the transfer station backhoe at a consigned rate of 10% due to deterioration of the equipment, with proceeds to be receipted into the general fund.
Thank you, Mr. McCormick. Do we have a support for the motion? Thank you, Mr. Beggs. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. McCormick?
Yes.
Mr. Beggs?
Yes.
Mr. Hardy?
Yes.
Mr. Erickson? Mr. Walker?
Yes, thank you. Mr. Hardy, payment of claims.
Yes, Commissioner Walker, asked for board approval of accounts payable and release of funds for July 10th, 2025. $9,570.90 for ambulance fund, FOC fund total $2,388.61. Indigent defense fund $33,421.67. Department of Veterans Affairs $8,182.59. Technology and Innovation $3,185.25. Public Improvement Fund $193.13. Building Department Fund $19,994.55. General Fund total of $529,466.33 for a grand total of $606,927.63.
Thank you, Mr. Hardy. Do we have a support?
Support.
Thank you, Mr. Erickson. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Hardy?
Yes.
Mr. Erickson?
Yes.
Mr. Beggs?
Yes.
Mr. McCormick?
Yes.
Mr. Walker?
Yes, thank you. Reports from the commissioners and department heads. I think we have commissioners. Mr. Beggs?
I don't think I have anything to report. Nope, nothing to report.
Thank you, Mr. Beggs. Mr. Hardy?
Nothing at this time, thanks.
Mr. McCormick?
Nothing.
Mr. Erickson?
Thank you for the brownfield. I think that'll make a big difference out in Levitt Township and Colfax. It's good to see positive things happening out there, and I think this is a real good one. I'd like to address the part of the conversation we heard this morning in regards to medical care. I am the liaison. I'm a non-voting participant in that board, but it's a three-man board. And what we found with this board reducing from 7 to 5, that sometimes the weight of the decision-making might be a bit skewed. And if you'll recall, the past 5 years, it's been extremely difficult with the medical care to get back in the black. We've been in the red now. And if you look at the numbers in add back depreciation, with our millage, the building most likely would have been sold to a private concern, without getting turned around. My problem, and you guys have heard me say this before, I like to grow our own and to hire from within. That has not been the philosophy at our medical care facility now for some time. Those of you who recall Flossie Myers or Marv Way, active in the community, seen on the streets, very involved individuals. And the last two previous administrators were absentee administrators in that building. 2 or 3 days might have been a big week for one of them. And these salaries that we're paying for that position are at the upper end of the scale in our county. Therefore, I've always been a proponent of hiring from within, hiring the best person who is a resident of our county, who has an investment in our county, and seeks to make a better world for us and not be gone with the next process. I'd like to explore perhaps expanding that board a little bit, and just so everyone realizes, one of the top candidates for the last administrator's position was married to one of my people at the body shop, and I follow the medical care closely now for probably 12, 15 years. She no longer works there, and she was our top candidate. I feel like we've suffered a loss, and I don't think anyone in these positions needs to be discounted to the point where they're not employed by us anymore, because as you had heard earlier in that conversation, we've hired a lot of traveling RNs. Registered nurses in this industry are few and far between, and they're very expensive, and we've been hiring them in for years now, and we just lost a homegrown RN. I don't understand why, but as a non-voting liaison, and as Bob had said, you hire the administrator to administrate, but there needs to be accountability somewhere in the process. And when I listen to Dale Baines, Dale's a Shelby boy, and Dale's never backed down from a challenge, and he spent 35 years in that building. Dale knows that physical plan as well as anyone. He knows the processes that are necessary in that building, and I do listen to Dale, and I do seek Dale's advice on that building. So I would just like to reiterate that, we're losing $6 million a year at the medical care. If you look at the numbers, we can add back depreciation and do things like that, and we can rely on our village to make ends meet. But a large part of our problem with the medical care was the insurance billing, and we didn't take priority health there. And what we found in Oceana County is a lot of people have priority health, and you couldn't go to the Oceana County medical care because your carrier wouldn't pay the rates that were on the board. But we have accepted priority now, and that's one of the reasons that the census has gotten better, and there are 12 more beds in there that could be opened up if we had the need. But if you'll also look at that report, you'll see there's a pretty substantial past due balance in there. There are some people that have not paid their bills to the medical care facility, And, it's a substantial amount of money when you look at that line. Then, also, I'd like to report that the jury chairs have been repaired. Gary Phillips came, he's taken care of it. It was a faulty installation by the last installers, and Gary came and did a good job. So I got that report from him yesterday, and I'm happy to have that behind us. But yeah,
Paul, thank you for that. And I still am glad that we had a third party after what happened there and the comments, you know, that were made about it and stuff. I'm glad that a third party came in and did it, you know, so it doesn't come back on us at all. Couple of things that I have, Paul, I think the medical care facility boards are set by statute.
that's
And because we appoint two and the governor appoints one. And I believe that, I don't think we can have more than 3 on that board. I do not know that. I know it was discussed at meetings that I was at before, but I don't know the answer to that, what it is. Tracy, I know that we are going to have, there is going to be a meeting with the judges on the 17th.
Yeah.
Would you please express before that meeting to the judges the frustration that our sheriff posed to this board on the PR bond for just about everybody who comes into that jail? That we think there should be more discretion. I'm speaking for myself now, if anybody disagrees with me on this, but I'm saying there should be more discretion on the part of the magistrate on whether it's a monetary bond set and not everybody who walks in the door walks out with PR.
Right.
Now, if anybody disagrees with
I'll
me,
put my name on that.
I will too. I don't understand why we did away with those.
well, is it okay with the other board members when Tracy sends out an email to the judge we have here that this board concurs with the position of the sheriff, that everybody who gets lodged in shouldn't be walking out with a PR? The majority of the people that walk in should not be walking out with a PR bond. Is that, are we okay with that, gentlemen?
Yes, I am.
I'm wondering how we got to this point.
I don't know. That's why I said I defined it.
It's easy.
Well, yeah, well, it would be just as easy if you
Somebody
were
just
warning
quit doing
and
that.
let them go right there on the road than to.
So let's, the administrator will take care of that for us.
Sir,
Go ahead.
a PR, aren't you really supposed to look at, when you do a PR, look at their work status, their position in the community, they're tied here, and it sounds to me like we had a bunch of people over the 4th of July from somewhere else come downtown and walk out.
You know, I don't know how many thousands of attorneys that we have in the state of Michigan, but you'll probably get that many different opinions on when PR should be used and not used. You know, it's just, I know firsthand the frustration.
I could hear it in his voice.
I will just tell you, I personally was injured in an accident or in an assault, and the guy walked out of jail on a PR bond, and it could have been fatal. I'm not going to get into any other conversation. The guy walked out on a PR bond, and I'll tell you what, the two unions for the law enforcement agencies in that county there had a very heart-to-heart discussion with the judges over it and what would happen during the next election if that ever happened again. So, but let's just pass it on and we concur with it. Last thing I want to say is, Mr. Hardy has brought this up several times. The last police department in Oceana County that was waiting for their encrypted radios, they were delivered and installed yesterday. So within a week, there has to be some adjusting to them. Within a week, I think Central Dispatch in Oceana County is going to go to encrypted. Mason County, when they went to encrypted, the sheriff just told me that it really went through without a problem at all. So that big concern over all the police calls getting put on Facebook isn't gonna happen anymore. That's all in the works, and I think it's gonna be done within the next week.
Nice.
If all the pieces are in place, I know the deputies have been using it as kind of a private talk channel as needed for sensitive issues.
Is there, Tracy, do you have anything for us?
No, just wanted to say that we will, with the changes to the fee schedule today, we will get flyers made and we will get, publications made for the papers and get something posted out there so everybody knows that's coming.
We've got a little bit of a little bit of time on that. It's gonna be hard to post that whole fee schedule, but I'm sure you can take care of it. So, thank you. Melanie, do you have anything for us?
Do not.
Any public comments?
I just have a curiosity question. Do you charge people out of Oceana County to use the transfer station?
No. That's all the same
Good
rate.
thing.
It's all the same rate.
Why?
That question has been kicked around forever and ever, and I
Oh,
don't know
okay.
there's an answer.
There's never an answer. Well, that's one of the few perks of living in Oceana County.
Yeah.
Is that.
I think the biggest problem is trying to identify who's not
That's
when they
true.
show up.
And then people will say, well, I'm a property owner here. I pay county taxes. You know. So,
I applaud you for not adding the 3%. It's a personal pet peeve. We never did it in our business. I wish more would think that way.
if we find that the transfer station is not working, that's probably something that we're gonna have to visit. But, you know, I'm very optimistic that I would be very, very saddened after we get through this whole thing, that in 2026, it costs us another $250,000 to operate that transfer
I would
station.
be too. I hope it's in the green, in the black.
Well, and I will tell you that is one of the discussions with American Classic. We can't just not charge anything because we still have some costs out there, even if they're running it. And
Absolutely.
we're trying to identify what those costs will be and get enough revenue from American Classic so, you know, we can cover those costs. So, anything else to come before the board? Mr. McCormick?
I don't know what this board or group could do, but, if there's a way to support Dale Danes on his issue, we need to do that. I worked with him years ago, for several months on a project there, and he's a dedicated.
I get that, and I don't disagree with it, but I do believe we have to proceed with caution, because there are 3 members on that board, and we appoint 2 of them, and there's 1 appointed by the governor, and I don't think that it would be proper for us to get involved with the everyday operation when we have a board that's doing it. I just
But like
think,
Mr. Begg said, maybe influence.
Joel, is that, back up a little, is that an employee issue that he's talking about?
That's what I was understanding, and
That's right.
and we didn't get any details to what he was getting at, but whatever, it bothered him enough to come here and talk about it,
Normally that would fall under the administrator.
but apparently he's not getting,
Yeah, but I'm just saying, I don't know how you overstep the
right,
administrator. on
exactly.
employee
I'm just
issue.
saying if there's some way to help him, I think we need to do it.
Paul, do you think that board should be expanded?
Well,
Is there an issue?
like Robert said, it might be statute, but you know how hard it is to run any 3-member board, you know, there's always not a guy out, and so then it becomes difficult to have your voice heard. But with all of that being said, he was asked to leave the building, and I don't think anyone, resident, of our county should be asked to leave the building.
I don't know the circumstances behind any of that, and I don't wanna dig up,
Yeah.
I don't wanna dig up
Contact
horror
issue.
stories before,
That's,
but I have sat in this chair and I have had people removed from the audience here. And it wasn't an easy thing to do, but it got very, very trying.
Well, with your history and background, was the board 5 before?
no,
It's
and
been 3.
hopefully Tracy will
Thank
be
you.
able to let us
I'm
know.
doing some digging.
She's digging right now.
I'm digging.
But yeah,
Thank you.
one is appointed by the governor, and we do.
Right, yeah, I was just reading something I looked up on here, but it basically said that, for the medical care facility, it appears that the county board can expand that. That we as commissioners can, but it said statutory framework, for a particular board isn't immediately available, Michigan, compiled law such as MLC 400.58 outline the establishment of the operation of the medical care facility, but prior to that, it says that the board could expand it.
Well, if we can expand it, why don't we have a future discussion on the merits of expanding that board?
Yeah, I don't,
And go into that, but it would be my thought that if we're gonna expand it, we're gonna have to have an odd number on that board.
yeah,
You don't want an even number on any
Yeah.
board.
Yeah, the 3-person boards, I mean, that's just, I mean, even if there's no controversial issues, quorum, this, that, the other thing, I mean, that's
yeah.
a
It's
tough
gotta be
operation.
difficult too, and what do they do when one doesn't show up?
Right.
Is the 2 then the majority?
Well, and seeing that board also, the first part of that monthly meeting is the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services first, so, you know, that discussion leads us into social services and all of that business. And then after we conclude that meeting, then we start on
Why-
the medical care board.
Why don't we explore the opportunity to expand that board? I don't know if that's gonna help the problem at all, but it may.
Well, and, you know, and I'll say it again, you know, part of the problem was, and these 2 very faithful gals have been very helpful at the medical care for years now. You know, when this began, I think we had 15 applicants for the last administrator, and we went through an exhaustive search for the person with the best qualifications. And it boiled down to 2, and we hired somebody from out of the county.
Paul, you and I have had discussions about this, and we could go on and on forever, you know, but that particular case, I don't think when we have a board that this board should determine who the director is.
No, I'm not saying that we should, but going back to my philosophy on where we live, we hire from within. And if someone's committed to moving to our area because they want that high-paying job, we welcome them.
See, I'm fortunate, Paul. I don't know any of the players in this game.
No, but I know 2 very, very dedicated.
Might be worthwhile to even check and find out if we have the authority to expand the board first, before it gets,
We'll let the administrator, I think, Tracy, you just said we can go to 5?
By statute, a county medical care facility board in Michigan consists of 5 members, except in counties with the Board of County Auditors, where it's composed of 3 members that are appointed by the board and then 2 members by the county auditors. So the county board would appoint all 5. And that's MCL 400.55.
So are we supposed to have 5 members?
From what I'm reading, it looks that
We
way.
refer to our
I can refer
lawyers
to the
and
attorney to be sure, but
I think we should refer to our lawyer and ask him.
Pay them a lot of
I'm-
money for, let them do the research and.
Gotta keep them in business,
Okay, gentlemen,
the right to work.
can we adjourn?
Yeah.